All right, let's move on. Soundtracks. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, 2, and 3. We have this down to a science, Ricky Flex. I told you right on the podcast and also off the podcast, we're going to have a rating system to assess the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack. So there's a 3-point system for each film. I didn't do Volume 3. Well, actually, I did. I did do Volume 3. Excuse me. One, you just score of 1 point if it's just not a great song and it's pretty forgettable, right? And then you got a 2-point score if it's a good song but a mostly forgettable scene, and 3 points for being a great song and used to ultimate effect and is just creates some of the most iconic moments in the franchise. So, Ricky Flex, what were your results? Did you do this point system? When you look at these three, I think it's clear that Volume 3 is going to be finishing third, right? When we look at Volume 1 and 2, obviously we have an affinity towards it. I have both of these on vinyl. When it came down to it, Ricky Flex, what were your point totals for each?
I got to tally them up. I forgot to tally them up. But like just a quick note on 3. Didn't even do 3 because it's not even close. It's just not worth it.
All I did is I would say I have to become more accustomed to some of these songs because there are some titles I don't know, but I knew which ones were 3 points on Volume 3. So I guess I'll just list what I had for Volume 3 as like you're like kind of calculating right now. Like Creep, the way it was used at the beginning of this movie from Radiohead, acoustic, I gave that 3 points. That's an example of a 3. Good song, but also used to ultimate effect to help like the characterization of what we're going to get with Rocket Raccoon. That's a 3 right there. I have In the Meantime. That's a 3. Not only did it mean a lot to the trailer, but the way it was used in that, obviously the beginning of the second act there in the cosmos with the suits, color blasting from the screen, and then the ooh going on. That's 3 points right there. I also had, Beastie Boys, No Sleep Till Brooklyn. That was the only 3 points I had. People are going to say like Florence and the Machine Dog Days are over. No. That's a 2-pointer. It's a good song, but also a little too sappy for me. And then they did a little cheap thrill with Come and Get Your Love on the replay. I was nice and I gave that one 3 points, although it probably doesn't deserve it because that's basically 3 points from the first Guardians of the Galaxy. So overall, I got like 3 songs, right, from Volume 3 that hit that high ranking.
Okay, I like that. I would agree with that. But again, even now that you said that, to kind of clear it up, still not close.
No. I would say We Care a Lot. I like that song a lot. I don't remember exactly the scene. I think they were revving up for a battle, but I think I'll have to rewatch it. But those were the 3 that stuck out in my mind. Like this is a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, the way they utilized it. Crazy on You is a 2, right? That's a great song. But like, do I remember it being used? Not really.
Right.
Right. That's a great song.
That's like the thing with this is that this point system. So like, if you ask me which soundtrack's better without doing this point system, like, oh, which one do you listen to? I think Volume 2 is better than Volume 1.
I agree.
And like it's just such a fun album to listen to. It's so good. But is it better on a movie basis like this point system than Guardians? I think it's close. And I think it depends how lenient you are with a 2 versus a 3. How memorable are some scenes to you versus others? So it's a little more open-ended. I think, though, what's not open-ended is that, well, it's not open-ended, but it's debatable still. But like an easier debate would be, all right, Guardians 2 soundtrack is better to listen to than Volume 1.
I always thought Volume 2 was better, right? It's just, you're right. I return to it all the time. It's easier to listen all the way through. There's rarely a skip when you listen to that second soundtrack. But I had that point total actually with Volume 1 coming out on top. And I would say it's because they have the first one, first of all, is just, it's etched in our brains. Like the scenes that go along with these song picks are just tremendous. Like Hooked on a Feeling, 3 points right there. Moving on, right? Fooled Around and Fell in Love. That's a 3-point song. right? That's one where it's like Peter and Gamora, they really start to find that attraction towards each other. The cinematography of that shot, like the galaxy in the background, him putting the headphones on her ear. I was just like, wow, like that is just setting a vibe. Setting a vibe, and not a so that's like a song I won't listen to on my own typically, but it works so well with the film. Come and Get Your Love, obviously Redbone. That's 3 points right there. Cherry Bomb, I had as 3 points too. That's another song I don't listen to a ton, but that's after like the huge like circle. Like, look at us, just a bunch of jackasses standing in
That
a circle, and then Cherry Bomb kicks in. It's like, damn, like this has some
I
energy to
that
it.
that was
Like
a tough one for me. So far I agree with you on all the threes so far. But I will say like that was the one I was like, oh, do I give this a three? But I think if I had to think about it, then I'm going to a two. That's what I ended up doing for that one.
that one was the closest one, like the hardest decision. But like, there's only I only have one for one score for volume one, and I'm Not in Love. Right, is the one I
You
don't
had
have.
Bowie as a two, a two.
Bowie, which one? And which one? Bowie? What are you talking about?
Oh wait,
Am I missing it?
am I missing that? Moonage Daydream?
Oh, is that volume one or two?
Maybe. No, it's not two.
Ooh, that's probably. I think I just missed it. Okay, but I have that as like probably a one.
Yeah, I think that's
But
that.
like,
I had that, and I'm not in love. Even though I'm not in love, I don't actually. I think that's a decent song, but again, like we're talking about this point system.
is it
That's a one.
memorable? Like it's how the music's used, and like I think when people always debate what's the greatest soundtrack, like people evaluate it wrong all the time. They're just like, you're just looking at a track list. You're not looking at how the music utilized in the movie, and like that's why James Gunn. Some people say like he's latching on too much to the music and rather than the emotionality of the characters, but I think he balances both very well. But like examples of like the 2 points, like great songs. And they don't have the effectiveness, like the iconicness of like the ones we listed. There were 3 pointers, like Go All the Way by the Raspberries, Spirit in the Sky, obviously an iconic song. That's like 2 points right there. Even Ain't No Mountain High Enough, that's 2 points. I Want You Back, 2 points. I Want You Back is just like the most used song, the most licensed song in the history of movies. You know, that and Ain't No
That
Mountain
and
High Enough.
that
It's
and the
like,
Beastie Boys.
yeah, that and the Beastie Boys, Pina Colada. It's like, I don't love that song personally. I think that was arguably a three,
I
honestly.
gave that a three
And that's
because
like,
that fit the vibe of the Guardians. Kind of
damn,
weird,
after
quirky.
they broke out of prison and he's
Yeah, it's
like
a little quirky.
coasting
It
back.
works.
Yeah. And yeah, that's arguably a three. But yes, not many ones in volume one. Uh Volume two. Let's talk about it. Why don't you run through, if you had your scoring system, which ones did you give a three for volume two?
Okay, I have my gripes with it, but Brandy, you can't deny it.
3 points.
3 points.
De-aged Kurt Russell
Yeah,
just doing his thing,
yeah.
charming the heck out of, right,
Literally,
Meredith Quill.
yeah. So like when I was watching Guardians 2, I had like a notepad next to me to like keep track of the songs and what scene. Obviously, Mr. Blue Sky. Like that song is also in every movie. So it's like, oh, like you James Gunn, like what are we doing here? But the
Baby
way he
Groot,
used it,
icon.
Baby Groot intro, iconic. Easy 3 points. Um,
Amazing two intro songs for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Brandy and Mr. Blue Sky.
yeah.
That's crazy. Every one of these movies had amazing drops to begin the movie.
So good. All right, The Chain. Easy three. I
Oh
think
yeah.
so. If people forget, in the beginning of the movie, it was played when Quill is like the slow mo of like, all right, Rocket, Nebula, and Groot, you're staying back on the ship, and everyone else is going to Ego's planet. It gets played there as they're leaving for Ego's planet, and it gets played as in the final battle, right? And that's when it really hits when Quill gets his powers. Iconic. 3 points there. Great song. Arguably the best song, like most underrated song on any of these soundtracks. The Chain, I don't think so
And that
anymore.
was like Quill at full force, full
Right.
powers. When he was like, he
Exactly.
had the powers of a celestial. He's taking on a celestial. It's like, oh my
Dude.
God,
Oh,
it's about to go the F down.
right. Right. Southern Knights. Ravagers that are attacking the ship. Glenn Campbell. Glenn Campbell always hits. And then you have the slow-mo of the Ravagers getting thrown up in the air and
Uh-huh.
then going back down, and Rocket's just laughing and firing away. I have that as a 3-pointer.
Is that Yondu with the arrow?
No. All right, that's my next one. Come a Little Closer.
Oh yeah.
That song usually is in movies a lot, but it's in like love sequences, similar to like what you talked about with "Fooled Around and Fell in Love" with Gamora in Volume One. That song, that's what coming a little closer usually is in movies. But no, no, no. James Gunn used it in a way for Yondu just going around the ship and with Rocket and Groot by his side. And I didn't like the remix orchestra playing at the end there, but an all iconic scene too. Great song in general. That was another 3-pointer for me.
I had
Um,
Southern Nights too, by the way. That's okay.
okay, but that I think that's
But
it
it's
then
just
for my
not a
3-pointer.
one. It's still memorable. Like it's like instead of the 2 points where it being like a great like a great song but not used effectively. I think it was used effectively but not a great song. So I think I also
Oh, I like that song.
so that's like a two. It's okay. You know, it's just it
Okay,
doesn't hit the same as some of these other
I'm
ones.
a
I don't.
Glenn Campbell guy.
It's not upper echelon. All right, what else? Any other threes?
Ch- 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 ch-
I thought Father and Son. I think that was effective because that's after Yondu's death.
See, I'm not a big
Not a
fan
great
of the
song though.
song. Yeah,
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 that's a 2 because it's
exactly.
not a great song, but it was effectively used, right? You gotta have it all to be a 3 in my eyes. You gotta have
Right.
the great song and used effectively. If you just have 1, it's a 2. But like My Sweet Lord's George Harrison, 1 point. Lakeshore Drive, 1 point in my eyes.
Okay,
Um,
yeah. See, like I like these songs, and I think My Sweet Lord worked really well in the movie because they're entering Ego's planet, this planet of just exorbitant like nature, uh, and just I think it worked really well with the beautiful colors, and that's just like George
yeah,
Harrison. That's what you're thinking of. So I don't think it's iconic, but I also I like that song, personally. Like I think every single song in Volume Two I like. So like I couldn't give like any of these ones. Like you just said what you said Lakeshore Drive. I
this
think
is
that's a
like a little
great song
deeper in the
too.
bag. This is a little deeper in the bag compared to like volume 1 has things like he's got the Jackson 5 here. He has David Bowie. He has like Cherry
Yeah,
Bomb. Like these are more Spirit in the Sky. Like these are bigger songs, like more recognizable. He obviously has like the deeper ones like that were okay. Remember this from the 70s with like Hooked on a Feeling and Come and Get Your Love. But like volume 2, it's like it's less. It has the chain with Fleetwood Mac, but everything else is pretty niche and like compared to volume 1. So I think
okay.
it's just yeah,
So that's interesting.
which isn't
Okay.
a bad thing. I'm just that's kind of
So
what I'm noticing when I compare them.
what's you put for Wham Bam?
Wham bam. What did I
Wham Bam
put?
along.
That's the sovereign attacking, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like Cragwin's like eating the soup, and then the Sovereign comes to Ego's planet.
I got to hear the song again. I had it
The
as a one.
song is good,
I just think it's not memorable, you know?
but right, but the song is good. See, this
Okay.
is where the point system is like a little quirky, where it's like, oh, do you give it a 1-pointer for a good song? Like that's kind of like harsh, but then again, you don't want to be too kind to it because it's not a great scene.
Yeah, I just don't know. It's kind of tough because like the first one I watch religiously, rewatch it all the time. It's one of the most rewatchable movies in general that I adore. And volume 2, I watch it a good amount too. And there's just so many I found with volume 1 that was just like, damn, like that's iconic. That's like one of the best
Right.
moments of the MCU. Volume 2, it's like it has the moments. Like Mr. Blue Sky is probably and The Chain. Like those two are probably the most iconic from volume 2.
I agree.
Yeah.
Definitely agree. But yeah, like I think also just to wrap up volume two, Surrender was in the post credit scenes. So
Yeah,
like
that's the thing. Like volume 3 with Badlands. It's like, do we count
exactly.
those? It's
Like
like that hits so well.
those songs are so good. I want to say, like, I'm still thinking about Badlands from the post credit scene, so it's memorable to me.
And you know what? Like it's those post credit songs are important because we're waiting for the post credit scenes. You know, we're like
Yeah,
we're people are staying around and people are having a good time. They're reflecting on the movie. The crowd's buzzing, and then like these Badlands like comes firing off, and the crowd everybody's just like pumped.
I'm wearing a Bruce shirt
Look at
literally
that,
because of it.
and it
Because
gets
I knew we
like
were recording this podcast, and I was like, I don't have any Guardians gear. And I was like, wait, I wear a Bruce Springsteen shirt. Boom.
yeah, okay. So it seems like because Cheap Trick Surrender. I feel like in Volume 2 there was another song,
Fox on the Run.
Fox on the Run, just
Unreal song.
banger.
We've known that one. I saw Sweet in concert once.
That's insane. Uh, I didn't watch the full post credit for Volume 1. I don't remember what was on there, but it's obviously I Want You Back is like leading in, I think, or it's Ain't No Mountain High Enough that's leading in. Okay, so it seems like you're on the Volume 2 bandwagon. I'm sticking with volume 1. That's okay. Okay? It's okay to disagree, but we are on the same page. Volume 3, not the best. Not the best. Kind of let us down a little bit, but not it
A
still
little.
had its moments, right? It's still better than most soundtracks you're going to get, but you have such a high bar when we're talking about two of the most iconic soundtracks in the history of movies with Volume 1 and Volume 2. Maybe the most iconic James Gunn ism that is developed alongside with like the humanization of these characters, right? Cool. We did it. We teased it for so long. We finally got those done.